Welcome back to the Highway 49 podcast. We are back with another episode of the show. Coming off a bye week, I could not tell you what episode of the pod this is. We all three got some much needed time off, much like the Charlotte 49ers, who are sitting at 1-3 now. Conference play is rolling. So, got quite a bit to talk about today. A little bit about the Rice game, talk about the South Florida game, kind of where the team is at and go from there. But best thing we've seen, probably the best part of the show this week, in my opinion. Jay, we'll start with you, man. What you got?
Cam Scattaboo. This guy,
Run through a motherfucker face.
I I have never seen someone rush for 70 yards on 20 carries and be so electrified. This guy, it looks like he's getting in 5 car wrecks a game. We
Yeah,
saw it at
CTE
ASU.
Scottoville.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's speed running CTE. But I am Ye- I don't know if the Giants are good. Who knows? They just lost Malik Neighbors. They might have a franchise QB in Jackson Dart. Who knows? But one thing is for certain, that team is so fun to watch, and it's mostly because the Tasmanian devil they have in the backfield and Cam Scatterboot. So best thing I've seen is that guy just getting up and just whenever he gets a big hit, you see him just go woo because he's pumped up. I don't know how long those brain cells will be alive for, but enjoy it while it lasts. So that's the best thing I've seen. Hannah, how about you?
I mean, talk about his name too, like Scataboo. That's electric right there. So you got to live up to the hype. For me, I would say I'm just really excited to work on the weekends. I miss a ton of college football, but it's fun to actually be on the sidelines, and just watch the action happen. I mean, Elon was down at halftime, and then came out, and it was just like a completely different story for them, and they ended up winning against Hampton. It didn't rain, it didn't downpour. I was ready for a monsoon. Had my rain jacket, everything prepared, and it was sunshine and no rain. So that was honestly a blessing. But just overall, really great football this weekend. I'm just happy to work, really. So, Hunter, what about you? What's the best thing that you have seen this week?
Definitely. So I'm gonna go back to last week. So we went on a trip, my girlfriend and I, just like kind of up the East Coast. Saw a concert in DC Friday night, and then went to Philly Sunday for Eagles Rams. So that was first time at the link. Uh, Pops moved up there when I was a kid, so just kind of picked up my fandom then with like Eagles team in 2010, Vic, Macklin, Sean Jackson, Shady McCoy. And so first game up there, and the first half, I'm sick. I'm like, dude, we drove, paid a couple $100 for these seats, like watching my squad get derailed. And Lex is playing like all time cheerleader. She's like, it's fine, it's fine. I'm like, yeah, like if the Eagles don't come out in this third quarter and like get some points, like probably at the end of the third, we might go and watch the rest of this somewhere, go watch some football. I don't know. She's like, nah, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be good. First play out of the half, Jalen Hurts gets strip sack, Rams recover. Next play, Rams touchdown. It's 26-7. And I'm just sitting back in my chair like, man, like we're cooked. It's cooked. And I was wrong. They turn it on. Offense looks real. It's like, wow, we have AJ Brown, one of the best receivers in football, and they walk him down. And so Lex had never hit a bet before, ever. And she had the only one she put in was Devontae Smith anytime touchdown. They come all the way back. Jalen Hurts finds Devontae Smith for the game, like lead changing touchdown. I'm like, yo, this is scripted. And then immediately Matt Stafford walks right down the field. And I'm like, okay, like at least we saw a fun game. Like I'm talking to this Rams fan in front of us, like, regardless, at least it was fun. And then Jordan Davis, big fella, blocks this kick and houses it. And I didn't know what the spread was on the game when it happened. I knew the place was going insane just because of the block kick, the Eagles win. But then I realized that everyone around me had Eagles -3.5. So they're excited that the Eagles won. And then it's like tripled because everyone's bet hit. And it was unreal. Just kind of a wild day.
Tell
Go
Lex to
ahead.
be careful, man,
Yeah.
because once you hit a bet in person,
I told her, dude.
fashion that it happened, you quickly, that's how they get you, man. So I'm glad
So
you guys had a
dopamine
weekend.
hits. Yeah.
I'm glad you guys, ha had a fun time, but it is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you hit one of those and you're like, oh, this could be a side gig, maybe. No,
Yeah.
no, it's
No.
not.
Yeah. It's not good. Really
Hannah,
good.
what was your reaction to seeing that?
Dude,
I'm
I'm not
just
gonna lie to y'all. I cried, bro. Like
rightly so.
tears of joy. Just like I'll keep it real. Like we're about to talk about this pod about like a tough season for Charlotte. So it was very good and like wholesome for me to like
Mm,
see a good football game live and enjoy it and be like, man, football is back. Like
yeah.
I don't know. They just asked me on Weston Walker, like, how do you stay positive? I was like, being an Eagles fan is cool sometimes, even though our top receiver is kind of a diva and is now in the media. Oh well. But yeah, best seat in the house. I realized like I don't know, dude, it was an awesome environment. I had never been in a stadium like that. Maybe since, 2015 run here with the Carolina Panthers where you're going to games and it's like
Rip.
everyone around is on that same wavelength of like
Yeah.
this is going to be an awesome experience and it was. So definitely best thing.
But I think that's why, and I guess kind of pivoting back to Charlotte, maybe that's why there's so much frustration going on now because when you can field a good team
Yeah.
and have those moments in a stadium when you're with your significant other or you're with your family and you guys look at each other and there's that moment of like ecstasy when you
Mm,
guys are
Yeah.
like, oh my God, our team is actually doing something. It's really hard to top. And I completely understand even shedding some tears over that because you mentioned how you have that relationship with your father and how he took you to those games. And there are Charlotte fans who feel the same thing now,
yeah.
but they're not winning those games. They're coming out of, like you said, AJ Brown walked him down. No one's walking him down on Charlotte, and that's just, I guess, what people want to see going forward.
Yeah, I think. Can you guys hear me right now? I had to move the
Way
mic.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Shows you how prepared I was for this pod today. Um, when I look at like this Charlotte team, I mean, dude, like for example, dude, I tweeted out today the news that Albin told us today at the presser, like Conner Harrell's out for the season. That's your quarterback. I mean, he's a first year player in this program. There's frustration over that. And then Henry Rutledge, a fan favorite that's been here for three coaches. Yeah, dude, I know. And
Yeah.
he's out for the season. And I mean, those are like your two most explosive players on offense, just straight up skill wise, like being able to make something happen with the ball in their hands. And that's Henry's career at college career. I mean, he told Jeremy and I before the season this was his last year. And I mean, his last carry is a 14-yard run, which is like one of their biggest runs of the year. And then you don't see him anymore. So I mean, dude, it's frustrating. And it's
Yeah.
like looking back to that Rice game, like I say, we're not even going to do a full recap on it because it's not worth it. The game changed when Connor went out. It was a 3rd and 18. Great play call by Todd Fitch. Great execution. The line blocked it well. Harrell gets 19 yards on a design quarterback run and goes down on the sideline. Tim Allen wouldn't tell us what it is. I'm pretty sure it's ACL based off of the injury and just kind of seeing how it was, hearing things. And I mean, it bums you out. Like as soon as that happens, Loftus comes in the game, and you're just kind of thinking like, okay, we haven't seen Grayson do much, especially against North Carolina. It was turnover prone, and that is what it was. Tim Albin said he thought at halftime they'd win that game, and box score, everything said that. I mean, it was 14-9. Rice was up. Rice has like one of the best time of possession, I guess, ratios in the country, and Charlotte had double their time with the ball. They had more yards. They had way more plays run. They just couldn't convert in the red zone. So instead of scoring touchdowns, they're kicking field goals. In the third quarter, you have 5 yards of total offense. That's how you lose games. I mean, Tim Albans talked a lot about the middle eight. Charlotte gave up a touchdown right out of the half. I mean, it's I don't know. When you look at this team, I guess here's the big picture look, and I'm sorry I'm going on another tangent, but like this team is not talented enough to withstand these amount of injuries in this high talent of a conference. I think that's the best way I can say it. Like they don't have the bodies that are going to come in and be able to make plays at this point. And that's just I think it kind of is what it is on that. Like the game gets away from you against Rice in a game that honestly, I mean, in the preseason we talked about it as like a must win. Like I mean, you knew App in North Carolina would be tough. You thought the Monmouth game would be a get right game. Rice was winnable. You beat them in their own house last year. They come in and get the best of a Charlotte team at home in front of another good crowd. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing is like we're in this element now where it's like you fired Biff Poggi when they were 3-7. They win the last two, and now you're on 1-11 watch in the first year under Tim Albin. And that's the reality of
Um,
it. I'm just keeping
Um,
it, I'm just being very for
so,
real
no,
today.
I
This
mean,
is
if
so
yeah.
we're
honest, yeah.
yeah, if we're gonna be completely honest here, this is what I was saying before the season started, where those expectations shouldn't have been 5 wins, shouldn't have been bowl, shouldn't have the team just wasn't there. And I guess for anyone who wants to blame someone, whether you want to blame Tim Albin or you want to blame, I don't know, pick your scapegoat. I
Yeah.
think looking at these teams in the NFL right now, the bottom feeders are a good way to think about it right now, where the Panthers don't look great, right? Bryce Young in year three, it's not looking good. But do you really think that firing Dave Canales and getting rid of Bryce Young and replacing him with a guy like Drew Aller is going to save your franchise? Is that really how you turn the next page on Carolina Panther football? No.
Yeah.
And I think the same rings true for Charlotte, where it doesn't look good. I'll be completely honest. It looks bad in case.
Yeah.
I'll just be completely flat out. It doesn't look good at all. But I do not think that doing another switch or making
Yeah.
all these excuses is the way to go. Give these guys time, allow them to get their guy, get their institutions in, because the cycle of constant losing seems to happen because you're having a carousel of QBs or a carousel of head coaches, and you need to have some type of foundation for better or for worse.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this forever. I mean, I think Charlotte fans just really want to win really bad, really fast. We're a new, like, we're a young program. And we want to be like the big dogs right now. But that's not how tradition is made. That's not how a culture is made. That's not how a solid foundation of winning is made. And I think if there's hope to be had, I think the hope is that you have the right guy in Tim Albin. I think he is the right guy and he will make it happen. I just don't think it's going to be this year. It's unfortunate that, we're kind of having a repeat from last year. It's kind of like Max Brown goes out and then now it's Conner Harrell when he was showing some promise. I actually feel like he was growing each week.
Yeah.
And now you have Grayson Loftus coming in. It's like Drexler Ivy coming in, and it's just kind of a repeat. But I think some hope to be had, like I said, is with Coach Albin being at the helm. I mean, if they can get more talent, he talked about recruiting today, that they spent this bye week recruiting, and that's something that I think that they're understanding is that they don't have the talent. So they're going to go get it, and hopefully they get it locally. That's something that I'm hoping because I feel like we don't have a lot of local talent on this team. And I think that will help with some culture, bring in some hometown guys, some people that are local who are really good because there's a lot of really good kids. CMS, and then also if you go up to Greensboro, Winston-Salem, um, I don't know. I just think there needs to be time to figure out who Charlotte is. And unfortunately, I think we're in for a couple more years until we get to that point to where we're with the big dogs.
I'm hearing myself talk in Hannah a little bit, and I know Hannah has the best intentions for this program, but we're talking in circles now to a point, and it's
Yeah.
it's crazy where I wish we could do like a 5 hour podcast on this and do we just can't.
Yeah.
But Boneyard is listening to this podcast right now and laughing their asses off.
Oh yeah.
Like it's week 4 and they're already having a eulogy for Charlotte football. We're
Yeah.
talking about recruiting. Tim Albin's talking about recruiting in week 4. We're
Right.
talking about culture in week 4. Just get some guys who are good. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't care where they come from. Get some ballers, get some studs, and it's just crazy, man. Like we're a third through the season, and if you hear us, people are hearing us and being like, "Oh my God, here we go." I heard
Put
it
them on
two
the
years
grill.
ago. But that's the thing, and the last thing I'll say before I throw it to Hunter is, you know, this fan base has been patient. That's
Yeah.
why it's so upsetting because they
Absolutely.
said, you know what, we are a small program. We're gonna be patient. We're gonna give you the time to do it, and that didn't work. So if we were patient when we gave you time, it didn't work. Now we're gonna be loud. We're gonna be obnoxious because we sat through the other, we sat through what you wanted it to be, and it didn't really turn out. So now I'm gonna flip the script and put the pressure back on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, you're just in that spot now where this is the hand that was dealt, right? You fired a head coach with a 6-16 record in Biff Poggi. You get 2 wins at the end of the year, which brings you to 5-7. And no one likes to hear this, but that's the second best record this program's ever had. 5-7. 7-6 being the best in 2019 under Healy.
But Hunter,
And
it's not just being dealt a bad hand. You're getting a 2-7 offsuit for the past 10 years. How do you switch that?
yeah, no, that's the thing. So I think this is why you made the Tim Albin hire. I think that's the best way you can say that right now is because when you think back, Will Healy had a good year in the FCS, came in, won immediately. It's kind of like this like roller coaster thing. Biff was unproven in college. Tim is proven in college, right? He's done it. We've talked about that. And it's not the year one where it's like an Eli Drinkwitz here with App State where you're just a monster and then pow, you're in the SEC. It's like he's building the program, he's turning it around. And we knew that this team got ravaged by the portal. I mean, all three quarterbacks that played last year left, right? I mean, it's not like there wasn't even a Trexler Ivy to come back to like, okay, maybe you need him now and he's in the game. Like now it's Grayson Loftus, Zach Wilkie's back there. I think when you look to the future of the program, that's really what you're basing this on. And I talked to Mike Hill today and he said, we've got the right guy. Like it's going to take time. And I think that's, if you're a Charlotte fan, that's what you have to hang your hat on. I mean, Biff Poggi literally came on this show and said, give him time. So it's like, is this season cooked? Is this season on the grill? There's a pretty good chance, right? Just keep it real with y'all. I mean, they're 27-point dog against a team in their league Friday night. I mean, this isn't like they're going to play Florida. Like South Florida is a damn good football team. They went to Florida and beat Florida. But at the same time, this is an American Conference team. And when you look at the remainder of the schedule, they've got North Texas, who's 5-0. They're going to Georgia, dude. Like I mean, we saw Georgia lose. Georgia's beatable. Like there's no, I'm just kidding. But then they go to Tulane.
That would be
It's
crazy.
it's the most it's a tough spot to be in at this point as and I think for like Charlotte, like I talked to Braden Mullen a little bit today after the presser, and it's one of the edge guys, the captain of the team. As soon as the presser ends, he's helping Joe, the SID, break down everything, and he's watching film already. Like we're literally leaving the media room, and he's already watching film. Like this team is dedicated to winning. I think they have the culture guys beginning to be in place, but as Jeremy said, you got to go get some dogs. You got to go get some guys. And I think the biggest thing on that front is Albin's 2026 class is coming together nicely. They've had sold out recruiting sections at all three of the home games to start the year. Like this is the time. And I think we talk about the ECU game, like 1-11 watch, whatever. I think the ECU game is the biggest game left on schedule. Boneyard hears that and said, we're Charlotte's Super Bowl. You might be. You might be, Boneyard. I'll give it to you. I'll say this, though. I mean, you got to beat an in-state opponent. You got three of them on the schedule. It's going to be tough to go into these recruiting battles and say, yeah, we just got swept by a Sun Belt team, an ACC school, and another American Conference team that's all in our state. Like, you have to find ways to win games like that. And I think, like I said, the hope for the future is let Tim Albin work his magic, let him get the right guys in the building. I mean, we talked about it. I believe his hire date was on like the first high school recruiting commitment day. Like he didn't have time to get his guys in year one. That's part of why you are where you are.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say before we move on is it's sounding a lot like we're setting up for an off season of brain surgery.
Yeah.
And we just kind of went through the PTSD of what brain surgery does to a team. So, Tim got hired and he didn't have enough time to have the high school date that Hunter was talking about, and he didn't have time to get his guys in. So maybe this year he might overcompensate for it and try to just switch everything because now he has the full off season. And that is again, I hate to like say this, that is again another reason why if it doesn't work out next year, then the fans too are going to be coming back and hearing us say the same thing again that we said with Biff, where at a certain point it can't be about getting the full off season or getting blank or getting blank. Just win.
Yep.
Because every year it seems like we're giving someone a pass for year one. We say year two, it should be better. It gets marginally better. Sometimes it doesn't. And then we're having to cope for a team again. And at a certain point, you have to turn that corner. You have to flip that page. And we can't keep pushing it down the road.
And I want to say this really fast. I don't think that there's a single coach that would take the Charlotte job. That's the biggest point. The single coach that would take the Charlotte job that could win, and I'm talking like win in year one. I don't think so. I mean, like you look at the Biff Poggi era,
I
that's one of the
agree.
most talented teams that this program has ever seen. Like just being straight up with y'all. I mean, there were a five-star player on the defense at Charlotte. Like multiple NFL guys. Nakai Hill Green's at Bama now. Demetrius Knight just got his first pick in the NFL last night. Like the talent level is through the roof, and they could still only win 3 games, right? I think that's the tough reality, the harsh reality at this. I think the biggest thing to look at, and because I mean, dude, there have been people in the mentions in the comments talking about we miss Biff Poggi, and I understand like his name is hot. He just got 2 wins with Michigan. He's as funny as ever in the post game. Like that's Biff Poggi, and maybe Biff Poggi is meant for that stage on that Michigan level. But when you're having to do it and completely build a team from the ground up, build a program from the ground up here, I think Tim Albin is more of that type of person. What do you think about that, Joe?
I'm sorry, and I want to throw this to Hannah as well. Like, what does that even mean, though? If
Yeah,
Biff Boji can get 5 stars in the building that are playing on Sundays, and Nakai Hill Green is an impact player on an SEC powerhouse, and they
Yeah.
win 3 games, and Tim Albin, a guy who has won numerous MAC championships and has the most decorated college head coach career. And he comes to Charlotte. I get it. It's year one. I completely agree. You could throw Lane Kiffin on Charlotte. They're probably not winning 7 games
Yeah.
their first year. With that being said, and again, I hate to say this because like Mike, all these people. It doesn't seem like it, is it just the program as a whole where that's I think I'm thinking through it through a fan's lens right now. If
yeah.
you're a part of Niner Nation and you're saying I was here with Will Healy and Biff Poggi and Tim Albin, and I'm hearing all these things and I'm hearing people prop them up, and then when they don't do well, I'm hearing the excuses.
Yeah.
If we just had a guy that had Demetrius Knight, I saw your post on the Bengals balling, and it didn't
Yeah.
work. Is it the place and not the players that are coming into the building?
That's a good point, honestly. Um, and who knows, it might be. I think every single coach that Charlotte has had has been entirely different. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
World's
so
different, dude.
so different that I feel like this is just from my perspective. I mean, Hunter and I are both alum and we went to Charlotte. Now we cover the team, and I feel like there's never been a consistent identity of who Charlotte is. I feel
Yeah.
like every single year under a new like leadership, there's a different mantra. There's different, obviously different talent. And last year, yeah, Biff Poggi brought in a lot of talent, but he's also a businessman. So I'm sure there was some, he's really good with people. We've experienced it. He's good with the media. And people love him. He's changed, kids' lives because that's who he is, and we know that he's a maker of men. But also, I think. there's just no consistency. I think
Yeah.
that's where it starts. So I'm not sure if it's the place. I mean, I would like to believe that there's some sort of foundation here, but to be fair, I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, Hunter, but like that's just kind of how I feel is that there's no
Yeah.
ultimate like identity. Yes, there's the gold standard, and yes, like I love Charlotte, but that's just kind of how I've always felt is there's no like real consistency.
Yeah, the only consistent piece is the fans. Just
Yeah,
straight up.
absolutely.
I mean, they're the only ones. I mean, dude, this sold out stadium at home on repeat. Going back to Will Healy, Biff Poggi, now even with Tim. So the fan support is there and everyone is frustrated to the point of like, okay, where are we going with this and who can we get behind? Go ahead, Jay.
I think Hannah made a great point, and quickly I texted Hunter to keep this short. And I feel like I just got injected with super serum as we're just like ranting on Charlotte. But I mean, what Hannah said is true. There's no consistency when you look across other colleges, when you see a team like Alabama despite Nick Saban being there or not, they had the identity of they have people who hit you hard. When you play Alabama, get ready to be in a wheelchair the next day or have a neck brace on because those guys are coming for your throat. When you think of teams like LSU, no matter if it's Ed Orgeron and no matter if it's Brian Kelly, they call them wide receiver U for a reason because they just breed wide receivers. Doesn't matter who's there, their identity is we play fast, we have that swagger. We're LSU. And I think Charlotte, it shouldn't matter what the coach is, who the coach is. There should be an identity that runs throughout the program, no matter who is the leadership. And that's something they haven't been able to find. We've seen different iterations with Chris Reynolds and those teams where they're methodical. They have a QB that can break you down pre-snap and who's smarter than you, and he'll find the open guy. Then you go to, you know, you go to the Trexor Ivy and the Max Browns, and it's a completely different identity. The players too, all personnel, and now it's the same thing with this Tim Albin era. So I fully agree with what Hannah said, and I think that, like she said, she doesn't know. I don't know. No one
Yeah.
knows. That's why it's $1 million question. How do you uproot? How do you yank a team from the bottom somehow and pull them up by their bootstraps so that they can be competent? We haven't seen anyone do it so far, and I really hope we do.
Yeah, and I think it's worth like mentioning the context of it. I mean, this is a sub 13-year old program. I mean, they had a couple seasons in the FCS, made the jump to the FBS very quick, and then, 2.5, 3 years ago, pow, we're in the American. And you're looking at the American, it's like, whoa, that's SMU, that's whoever. And I mean, those are the decisions that they're making.
But that's my point, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I,
you,
yeah,
you can't be a 13-year franchise and have Georgia on your fucking schedule. Like, what are we doing
I mean,
here?
and when
It's
you
like a
look at next year,
humiliation ritual.
it's not, and that's the thing is like I understand why they do that. Like you get a big check, like Georgia's paying them 1.8 million. Cool. That's gonna fund a lot of shit, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, you look at next year's schedule, it's the same breakdown. They play an SEC school, they play an ACC school, they play an FCS team, and they play App State. Dude, Ole Miss, you mentioned Lane Kiffin earlier. He's coming to Charlotte next year. They
yeah,
are coming to Charlotte. And then Charlotte goes there the following year. Like they play at Louisville. They have, I mean, the Citadel, that's a winnable game. That's Monmouth this year, right? But you're looking at that non-con and you're saying, well, unless we beat App State, you're 1-3. And
yeah,
then you're right back in the same situation again. And I don't know, the scheduling philosophy is not in the correct place. I agree with you, Jay. Like if you're gonna find ways to win games, build a program, that's all fine and good. And I think people that would hear that and say, well, you look back like you beat Duke, and it's like, yeah, yeah, that's cool. They did beat Duke. That was an awesome game. But like, go look at the scoring margin in every single other Power Five game. The only other close one was that same year, and it's Illinois. I mean, I guess you can go back to the Tennessee game in 2018, but like, that's 7 years ago. Like, it's, I
yeah,
don't know. The thinking with it needs to change. Like they're going to continue to recruit. Tim Albin's going to bring his guys in. He'll massage his staff, I guess, make it better in year two. You'll see some of the changes there. But I don't know, I think it's premature to have this conversation at times, and I kind of went back and forth with it. But at the same time, we've been watching the same shit for the last 3 years. So I think it's worth at least having dialogue about and talking about like a reality check on a program that is young, is working to get where you want to be with the football program, but the progress isn't showing. Uh, Anything else, I guess, on the big picture side of things? All right. Well, if you made it through all that, let's talk about Charlotte at South Florida. Ha ha! No.
Yeah. Conference opponent, USF, they're 3-1. They have two wins against ranked opponents. They start off beating number 25, Boise State, 34-7, laid the hammer on them, and then
Crazy.
went to the swamp and beat Florida, that at the time was like ranked 13th,
Yeah.
18-16. And it's crazy because we heard everything good about DJ Lagway taking that next step in Florida. They have an insane schedule. They have a crazy schedule every year, thank God. But, DJ Lagway, everyone thought he was going to be the second coming of Christ, and they go in and they beat those guys. And then they kind of have a reality check with Miami. They lose 49-12. But they bounced it back, and that's what was important for me. Hey, they took a loss. They didn't, beat themselves up too much, and they showed that they're still a really good team by beating South Carolina State 63-14. So outside of Miami, they've held their opponents to 16 points at the most, which is crazy that they went into the swamp and limited those Gators to 16 points. They're led by QB Byron Brown, who's a senior in 2023, threw for 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in 2024, had a lower leg injury that costed his season. And then in 2025, right now, he has 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but he's second in rushing on the team. He has the most carries, 47, for the second most yards, 120, and 2 touchdowns. And going back, oh, what you had to say, Hunter?
Tell them who's in that tailback room.
Mm-hmm.
You got it, man.
Cartavius Norton. Dum.
It's like a humiliation ritual. It really is at a certain point. And we talked about the offense. They are led by a QB. They have a former Niner in the backfield and Cartavius Norton, but the defense is really what sticks out for this squad, being able to limit those teams to so few points. They're great on third down. I was looking at the third down percentages against UF, and they had UF was 4 of 12 or 4 of 13 on third downs, which is crazy to be at home and be that inefficient. They have two players with 36 tackles, Mac Harris, who's a senior, and Jalen Schuler. They have four players with at least 20 tackles. For comparison, Charlotte's leading tacklers are Shea Taylor with 26, Jaquarius Conley with 22. So USF has twice as many tacklers that have 20 as Charlotte, and then they've got two with 36, and Shea's the leader in Charlotte with 26. So at this point, I mean, I talked about, the strengths of USF, but this is going to take a prayer. This is going to take the parable of God, or Jesus when they give him a loaf of bread and like 3 fish and he feeds 1,000 people. You're going to need some biblical stuff to happen in order to
Some
stay in
water
this
into
game.
wine. Come
Some
on.
water into wine. You're going to need everything, Hannah, because Lazarus coming back from the dead, everything you can name, just because.
You need a resurrection.
Exactly. And the thing about USF
Oh my
is
God.
I I feel like we're doing an hour of sports radio right now, which is horrible. But the thing about USF is that South Carolina State really stuck out to me, that win against them. Because like I said, they said we're not gonna take anyone for granted anymore. They lost to Miami. They said, no, we're coming back. We're gonna beat the brakes off South Carolina State. And if they walk in to this Charlotte game and say we're gonna treat them like every single opponent we faced so far, I think this can get out of hand very quickly, especially that Conner Harrell is out for the season.
Yeah, and I want to address a couple things you said. So you just talked about their non-conference, right? And we've been talking about Charlotte's non-conference for a minute. They went at ranked Boise, at Florida, or I think, yeah, at Florida, at Miami, all ranked teams. I mean, they handle business well enough. It's an interesting thing, and that's
They're the
just
fourth best team in Florida, Hunter. The fourth best. That's a little UF dig, but they're the fourth best. You're
yeah,
able to do that. And that's huge because now you can go, like we've said, with Charlotte, you can't at App State. Now they can go and say, "Oh, you're a UF recruit. You saw what we did to them boys
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
their trap." That's what
Yeah.
people want to see from Charlotte.
So you talked about some of the tackles. I'll just give context to that, like the tackles on defense. South Florida is about to play with a crazy tempo. And we talked about ahead of the Rice game, the option is hard to simulate. Tempo is even harder to simulate. It's one of these things where it's like as soon as the play is dead, they're at the line of scrimmage. Last game, they subbed. Hear me out. They subbed on offense 4 times. That means the defense had a chance to sub 4 times. So whoever's out there for Charlotte is gonna like you gotta the conditioning is gonna be a factor for sure. Like just bottom line. And Charlotte, I think Charlotte has to like strategically use their timeouts to play to this in the first half, maybe not in the second half, but like if you're getting gashed, you might have to burn one to get someone in there that can make a play because South Florida has the talent to, as we talked about Byron Brown. I mean, he's a Raleigh kid. This kid could have been a Charlotte 49er and he's playing the same conference at the American. That just goes back to the point. But yeah, this is going to be a tough game. Like I said, the Cartavius Norton thing is, I mean, I'm happy for him. He's scoring touchdowns there. He's doing well. For Charlotte, they're gonna have to find ways to steal points on special teams. I think that's how you stay in this game. And whether that's a Derek Ely, young kid who's freshman making big plays in that Monmouth game, or whomever that is going to be the punt returner, whether it's Jalen Nicholas or whoever else, like they're gonna have to find ways to score on those plays because Jeremy talked about South Florida's defense. I think it probably came at a good time. There's never a good time for your starting quarterback to get hurt, but if there is any bright spot, it's going into a bye week. You've got an extra week with Loftus. I think another pro for him is like there was a very long and drawn out quarterback battle, so he's got reps and experience with these guys, the ones. And the I guess the last kind of big takeaway I have that you hope works out is the receiver room for this team is a plus. And after a couple years of it not being a plus, like Biff Poggi's first year, for example, you feel good about guys like EJ, Javen Nicholas, Sean Brown. Like there are options to be had. The question is, can the offensive line block long enough, and can Grayson get them the ball? Um, Big questions for sure. If you made it this far, we appreciate you. I don't know how else to paint that picture. Like this is going to be a long season. It's going to be a lot of tough games. I mean, just objectively, the Vegas odds are going to be rough in a lot of these games. We'll do our best to articulate everything going on with this program. Tim Albin was very transparent today. I appreciate that. He didn't seem frustrated with some of the hard questions. He handled them well because, I mean, he said he's been here before. And I think that's the biggest thing for Charlotte fans to remember is this guy's done it. Not a single head coach before had done it. We'll see if this guy can. I'm with it. I hope it works out. I think it'll be a lot more fun with some wins. But as always, appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks for coming back to Highway 49 Pod, and we'll be back soon. We're in full go now, so we'll see. But thanks y'all for tuning in.